And I love the energy. I haven't met people like this since Pride, actually. My name is Yaya Mavundla. I'm a transgender activist and an artist from Johannesburg. Well, I live in Johannesburg, but I'm not from Johannesburg. I'm not very good, it's so funny that when you become a public figure, then you automatically have to speak to people, even if you are not a public speaker. And I think that's where I found myself. Just a little bit of introduction of who am I. So I'm a little trans girl from KZN. I grew up there with my grandmother. My mother left when I was very, very, very young. So my grandmother then raised me. And I went to school in KZN. It wasn't really one of those exciting moments, As most would know that, if you are queer, kids, would pick on you to say, oh no, when you are different, when you are this, when you are this. So I went through exactly that. And I think funny enough for me, at that time, I didn't even know what is a gay person is, a trans person is, a lesbian person is. I didn't have that reference because I really grew up in a space where there was nobody like me. And I think you guys are so lucky that you are growing up in an era where there is actually everybody around you that looks exactly like you. It's such an exciting moment. I think you should give yourself a round of applause for that. So I was reflecting just the other day to say, it's so funny that I was such a I wasn't the smartest, but I did so great at school. I never really got anything less than like 170. Anything, I got like 80s, 90s, but nobody ever actually, even at home, said, oh my gosh, you are smart, you are doing great. And I think as most of women like myself or people like us, we never really get that affirmation from our community, from at home, from at school, But what always becomes the center of attention is your gender identity, your sexuality, to say, the reason why you're not doing well is because we're stubborn, because, it's always the case. And I want you, because, for me, I haven't met people like this who are so energetic like you guys are. And I always say, I wish I was like this when I was younger, because I can just imagine how far I would have been in life. Do you understand when you are so positive, when you are so energetic, when you really believe that you are the girl that you think you are? There is so much that you can do, and I think you guys are exactly that. So I think my upbringing really, really played a huge role on becoming the person that I am today, because I knew from back then that I did not want to remain in a space that I was at. I knew I did not want for people to undermine me anymore. I knew I did not want to be bullied, so I needed to change my life and elevate my life. So I left home when I was 16. And it was such a tough decision to make, but I had to do it to save myself, because if I didn't do it, probably I would have been on drugs, or I would have probably been dead, or something, whatever would have happened to me. And I think looking at you, it warms my heart to say, I think you guys are safe from what I went through, because you won't go through the same thing, because at least you have organizations that you can go to if you're facing challenges. You've got so much, on your disposal that you can really read, people to speak to, and many other things. So when then I left home, I went and lived in Durban in the streets. I literally had 60 rands on me, and it was January. So what I did with the 60 rands, I bought stationery because I really needed to, I wanted to change my life so bad. So I bought stationery, then the stationery I would take and I would sell it at the train and also at the nearby schools in the morning before the kids would go in to the classes. Until then I collect and I get money for me to be able to pay rent. And then when I was okay, then I went back home and we had a discussion with my family of the reason why I really left. Because I didn't really leave because I hated them, but I was just unhappy with how I was treated. I felt it was so unfair of me, and I did not want to hate the people that I really, believed that, were my ride or dies. And today, we are like best friends at home. And whatever that I went through, because of them, we buried those things we spoke about. And I can tell you today, they are better human beings because I chose to be a better human being myself first. And I think sometimes, we get a lot of we get harassed as the LGBTI community, mostly trans women. As a trans woman, you're going to be looked down upon by society at large. You're going to be looked down upon by other trans women that really look like you, that should be saying, yes, you can. And you're going to be looked down upon by gay men, and that is going to drive you insane. And sometimes you end up going to not even having opportunities because everybody else is going to be saying, you don't belong here. And I want to tell you guys today that all of you belong here. And you belong in spaces that you guys want to be at. Those spaces are for you. You should never let anyone, when I say anyone, to tell you otherwise. I don't think as a trans person, as a trans girl who has not been able to take hormones, a girl that is taking hormones is better than you. You should never believe that. Because it could be that you don't want them. It could be that you want them, but accessibility, you don't have access to it. But many other reasons. Besides even hormones, I think it's important for us to empower one another. Because if we were to do that, really, there's so much that would change. You should always know that you are worthy, you are beautiful, you are deserving, and yes, you can. I think it's so important that I remind everybody that to say, I always say when I see people that I grow up with, or people that I used to hang around with, to say, oh my gosh, Yaya, because I come from a space where really I was not number one on anything. I entered beauty pageants, I was not number one. The people that I hang around with, they didn't see me as number one. Anyway, I was not considered as a number one person. But I think because my mind told me that, I am number one. Things changed. But still, I still don't see myself as number one over anyone else. I see everybody else around me as equal as, to myself. I have a lot of friends, Gamina, a lot of trans girls, even at my place, I host them, and once somebody came and made a very silly comment and said, but manje why lona engasinakekeli, afane nawe kanje. I was so turned off to say, I actually think you should be the one that you should not be here because you are now wanting to cause segregation. And I always say, whatever that I do, Mina, I never want, if you're going to put, like for instance, if you're going to bully another trans person here, I don't want to be that reference to say, Yaya is better than. If you want to do that, do it outside of me. I don't want to be put against another trans person. And I think it's so important that we don't allow that to happen to you, to your friend, to your sister, because I believe that any other trans woman is your sister. Any other trans man is your brother. You should not allow people to cause that segregation and let you believe that you are better than the next person. I want to like touch a little bit on my lived experience. You know, when Okawilas was speaking of what happened to her at the hospital or at the doctor, I was reminded of what I once went through at a public hospital years ago. So this one time I get to the hospital, I'm very, very sick. I had lost a lot of weight. I was diagnosed with like TB, lungs TB. And it was like, they found it like very, very, very late. So I'm seated, waiting for the doctor. Then the doctor comes into the room. She says, "Hi. So when last did you got your periods?" I said, I don't get periods. She's like, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm a trans woman." She said, "Oh no, so you're a man." And she left me there. She didn't come back for like a good 2 hours. So I was laying on the bed waiting for her to come back until the next doctor actually came. So she finished a shift and didn't even come back to me. And when the next doctor came and I explained what had happened, and I always say, I wish at the time I'd known better. Because for me, this is a case that I think was very, very important, that I was supposed to have taken it further and really, really speak. Which is why, for me, any experience that I go through, I speak about it. My manager always say, "Oh no, Yaya, you know, don't speak about things that are going to make you look." You know, when you're like, when people see you, "Oh, you don't know when Zakalogu," because people like doing that. And I said to myself, but if I don't speak about those things, I'm lying to myself and I'm deceiving the next person and I'm even deceiving myself to say it didn't happen to me. I need to own up to my stories, and that will help so many other people. And on the 25th of November, when 16 days of activism was starting, I was assaulted by the security guard at my place where I live. And it's so funny because it's something that I would have never ever thought it would happen. For one, because this guy, I have known him for like over 3 years. I've lived there for over 3 years. But also because you'd expect some of these things, you know, that, you know, they happen in the hood. You know, Elokshini. I've lived there and I've seen a lot of it happening. So I didn't really expect it. And I think for me, it was really a lesson learned to say, crimes like these or any crime happen anyway. You know, only in Dubai chances that, you know, you don't get these things. And so when I reported the case to the police, then unfortunately I ended up getting arrested also, you know, as a victim, because of how our law enforcement in South Africa really, really works, you know. And the police kept saying to me, I need to sort things out with him and go back. I said, I'm not going to do that. They said, well, if you don't, then you're also going to get arrested. I said, if that's how then I'm getting justice, then okay, sure. I don't mind. Then we both got arrested. The harassment, the humiliation, and everything that I faced there was really, really, really unmatched. But I knew that there was no way I'd just like leave it like that and let it be. And I remember I was supposed to go to Glamour Woman of the Year. I was supposed to be working there. And my friend was saying, "Yo, Yaya, this is going to be such a bad look that you got arrested. I don't think anyone should know." I said, in actual fact, I think everybody should know of what happened. Because if I don't speak, I'm really would have been failing myself and what I stand for. So then I posted a video of really detailing of what really everything happened. You will not believe how many people that you would not even think face these issues reached out. I remember like someone that's really probably half the people that are here, or almost everybody looks up to, called me and said, Yaya, your braveness shocks me because I work where I don't want to work. And I was harassed by management, but I'm staying there because I don't have anywhere else where I could work if I live here. And in my mind, I thought to myself, if this person, okay, I see myself, but if this person, that's everybody, literally, this person is praised, is probably God to many people, you know, a living God to many people, is scared to speak. How many of the people that are vulnerable like us, the marginalized people like ourselves and like yourselves, are scared to speak against families, are scared to speak against employers, or anyone, or your partner, you know? And I remembered of the relationship that I was in years ago. No. I was reminded of the relationship that I was in years ago. Before really I was not in the space that I was at, I dated somebody who was really, really, really famous at the time. And so our relationship was, of course, between myself and him. And the things that I went through in that relationships were disgusting. I nearly died in the hands of the person that really said loves me, he will protect me. But it's the same person who, after abusing me, who would tell me that, you know, even if I speak out, no one is going to believe me. And I always tell him now to say, I want to speak about what happened, not to shame him, but really for him to learn and do better. And I've given him time. I said, I want you to be the first person to speak out, to say, yeah, I'm sorry. I did 1, 2, 3, and 4 to you because he knows he shouldn't have. And I think most of us, a lot of times, we go through a lot of like abuse from home, from work, from our partners, and we don't speak because we are thinking we are protecting them. But what about you? Because you can protect the person, but what about you? What will happen to you if you get, you know, let's just say you die. Do you understand? Your life is gone because you're protecting somebody else. When they say report these issues, they mean it. Because now at least we have a lot, you know, we have a lot of organizations that will support you, that will see it through to make sure that you get justice and also you are safe. Because I think most of the time, sometimes people like, you know, don't speak out because of safety, to say, what if, you know, this person hurts me? What if nobody believes me? And can I tell you something? I think this thing of giving society power over our lives to say, what if nobody believes me? It really is okay. It's on them not to believe you. When it's, you know, your story. It's your story at the end of the day. When people say don't speak, you're going to hurt their image. What about yours? You know, we need to stop putting other people first and ourselves, you know, after. I know Patwell mentioned something which I need to speak about my relationship with my a transman that I dated. So years ago, I was like so pretty. I dated this like handsome, hot trans in Durban. Like that was, I think, in my mind I was like, okay, Yashadala, there is no way. But that came with a lot of abuse from our community and from him too. And the one question that I always got, I'm sure you guys can guess what was the question. Who can guess the question? Yeah.
I think in my mind,
Please guys listen, please.
it would be how were you guys doing doctor?
Thank you. So that was one question that I got. 90% of the questions that came, how do you guys have sex? And for me, it really made me realize, Ugutini, we are constantly sexualized. The first thing that people see when they see a trans man or a trans person with anyone that they are intimate about together or that they are in love, how do you guys have sex? As much as it was such a very uncomfortable conversation to have, but I thought, you know what? I really need to deal with the elephant in the room and to talk about it, because the moment I talk about it once, I don't think anyone is going to ask me again. Yes, they're still going to be very curious. And I said, just like how he would have sex with another girl, a cis girl, or just how he had sex with any other girl, that's how we had sex. And more questions still came. But how? So now people want demonstration. And that taught me of how people really always want to have authority over our lives. Because I'm telling you, when you come out as trans at home to your friend or to whoever that has known you for many years, as whoever that they grew up with, they always want you to explain. It's going back to what trans people go through when they go to a hospital, when they go to a police station. You have to explain what's it. How did you get here? How is it that way now? You are saying you are female, but your ID says you are male. And I'm sure a lot of people face those issues to say, what? I'm so confused, but the idea it's male. And the problem also is that this is not coming from people who don't know anything. Guys, the people that ask these questions, they know exactly. It's either they just want to humble you, they want to shame you, or they just want to exercise the power. It's just that I haven't lived really much in Bloem, but I'll tell you this, KZN and Gauteng, you get a lot of those that want to say, so you live by my rules. Living by my rules then means you have to explain yourself about everything. Everything. You as a trans person, you have to explain yourself. I had a friend who, may his soul rest in peace, she worked at a bank. So her ID said she was female. So she was male. At work, they would force her that you need to come to work as, you need to present yourself as male, how the book says male is. And she was so unhappy. And I was just like, I wish I could help my friend to say, leave there and do something else. But at the time, I didn't have the means to say, leave. And I could see the pain in her. But you see, the person that made those rules was a person that really knew that this person doesn't necessarily have to come to work based on what you say, but because they wanted to exercise their power. What I'm trying to say with that is to say, I think us here, we are so lucky that we now have support of so many organizations that if such things are happening, we are able to go report it. Guys, don't be scared to report. And this thing of after you report the manager, it doesn't end there. Now your manager can't report again. You know, everybody reports to somebody. Even me as self-employed, I still have to report to somebody. I have to report to somebody. If I become a bitch or the language. If I become a person that I shouldn't be, you have every right to report to the person that's invited me here to say, Yaya was unkind to me. You know, Yaya thought of herself, do you understand? Because I think we are always so idolizing the people that we report to say, oh no, this is the end and it should end there, and you know, we are now threatened, or something is going to happen. Nothing will happen to you. And I think the more we speak out, the more we teach people that these things should not happen, they will not happen. You know, after the experience that I received at Stanleywood Police Station, when I spoke, you will be so shocked. When I spoke, because then now they knew who I was. Now people then started calling me and then calling them out. And I know for a fact that now another trans person who will go to Norwood Police Station won't face that because they've learned their lesson. Yes, sometimes you have to be, what is the word? You know, when you find for the spoon, you have to sacrifice when now it's okay, fine. You have to go through this, you know, for things to change. And if you always sweep things under the carpet, you're never going to see change. And I can tell you this, as trans people, gender non-conforming people, we have so much power. We have so much power by speaking our truth. But we lose that power the moment we are silent. Because what they want to silence us. And you shouldn't allow it to be silenced. I remember when I worked at Durban Lesbian in the Gay Center in Durban, we did a lot of activations in the community, police stations, clubs, you know, encouraging people to test. A lot of people had that fear with you. Yaya is going to know my results, you know. But I'll tell you this. First and foremost, was the results I have ever tested after I've encouraged them, you know. Because they were professionals that, you know, were there to test people. I was not the one to like say, what's a, you know, big test. I've never tested anyone. But I've always encouraged people to say, you need to test. And I'll tell you, you know, when these moments happen and such opportunities are brought to you, I'm going to repeat that. If these spaces are brought to you, you need to take advantage of that, because how you are going to be treated here and how you are going to be treated, especially like or wherever, it's totally different. The care that you will receive here is totally different. And whatever status that comes after Uti, you know, whatever that status that you get, it shouldn't be a shame to you. If you want to keep it to yourself, of course, you know, it's your right to. If you want to tell a friend or you want to, whoever that you want to tell, it also is okay, as long as when you are compatible with it. Nobody also should force you to say, you need to say, or to speak, to tell other people to say, these are the results that you received. There is nothing so painful, I saw it in my family, where you can't help somebody because really it is like that late. And I think if you know on time, it really saves you. But also for those that really want to take hormones, I'm not saying you are forced to take, to test. But for you to really take hormones and be healthy and really not have as many complications as would attack you if you were positive and didn't know, it's better if you knew on time. And I'm telling you, anyone that works in these organizations and assisting you with the process will guide you to say, this is how you need to do things. And you should never be ashamed of you, because it's you, it's your life. I think it's so sad that we've been customized and saying, what is my mother going to say? What is my father going to say? With anything. Not even just like an HIV status, anything. Your gender identity, your sexuality. You are always the first person you are thinking, oh my gosh, my mother, oh my father, my brother, my family. Those people, unfortunately, are not going to do anything that is going to change your life. If we have a jailer or say anything to you, the only person that you need to choose is yourself. And there is so much power, there is so much freedom with choosing yourself, with owning your truth. Guys, owning your truth will change your life. I don't think I would have even been on Becoming if I didn't own my truth. I was telling, so I get a lot of trans people who always ask me, so oh my gosh, I want to do reality TV. I'm like, what people don't know, for you to do reality TV, you get interviewed. They don't just like look at the pretty girl or a person who has access to things and say, we are taking you. They interview you. And unfortunately, you need a story. If you don't have a story, you will not make it past through the first interview to be on that show. And I'm saying it because we need to know that our stories will open so many opportunities for us. But if you think when you're going to lie about who you are because you want to impress the next person who's next to you, you're never gonna get anywhere, unfortunately. Own your story. It's your story. I think that's what we always forget, that it's your story. It's not anyone's story. It is yours. Before I leave, I want to also go back to like a lot of challenges that we face, as mostly. I sometimes hate speaking about, experiences that trans men face, because as much as I've seen, but I don't know like first-hand experience to say, I know, no I don't. I've seen it, but I don't know how it is like. Workplace. I'm sure a lot of I always say I long for an opportunity for a day to see where trans women really work as themselves, at their happiest, earning what they want to earn. I long for the day, because I'd actually go and have a summer flower, chocolate, champagne if needs be, because a lot of trans women don't get work opportunities when they present themselves as themselves. And I think that's really, really important, that it needs to change. We can't allow ourselves, we can't allow people of our own to be in spaces that they want to be in, but bangabi themselves. we need to speak to our families. You know, when they say transition with your family, it really is that. You need to transition with your family. Because your mother, your father, your aunts, your brother is the same person that works at the police station, is the same person that works at the clinic, or any other public, government space. And if you don't empower the person at home, they're going to go back out there and really cause problems that we see every day. You know, I think I always say, for me to even get a gender marker that is like correct and be able to do things the quicker, the way I was able to do it, I always say I'm grateful to the fact that I did it while I was shooting a show. Because if I just went as somebody else, probably I wouldn't have been taken serious by the people at Home Affairs, you know. Because we all know how difficult it is to get anything, Jay, at Home Affairs. Where's when you want to do your gender marker? But if we empower our families, because our families are the same people, guys, that work there. It's not the machines that works in these spaces. It's our families. So our families need to hear from us, need to learn from us to say, do better. Because it's important, you know, there is nothing so painful that you are not able to change something that you can change. You cannot able to amend documents that you can take your money and go amend them because somebody else there feels like, well, they've got so much power to say you shouldn't and they should delay it. So imagine if everyone that is here that wants to do, you know, amend their documents were to wake up on Monday, or Monday is Christmas, but post-Christmas, and really Home Affairs wakes up one day, there are 50 people that are coming to do the same thing. Because the more we delay, the more we are scared, the more we think, ish, I'm not ready, because what if my mother takes offense with why is my ID now saying female or male? It's bad for us. I don't know if I saw in in Rustenburg we had people from the law enforcement. I'm not sure if we have any here. So I'm assuming so, but especially anyone. Okay, but I think what I wanted to speak on is to really say, let's those that work in these spaces do things by the book. You know, leave your emotions at home. Do things by the book. How are you going to treat Ubusisiwe, who is a cis person? Treat Yaya also, who you need to report it. I think I've said a mouthful. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything, but I want to welcome questions if anyone has